Hi everyone, and welcome back to online tutorials. We will now be finalising our series on life coaching with this final short video, the perfect coaching session. In Unit 7, which was the previous video, we focused on visualisation of our goals and motives. But today we'll focus on small tips on the perfect coaching session. Now, it's important as a coach that you make the client feel as comfortable as possible, where from the consultation through to the final session, and the client's well-being is the primary importance. During the initial consultation, as a coach, you should take as many notes as possible from what the client tells you. This should help the coach clarify any needs with the client prior to its first session. After that, the coach can then book in the first face-to-face session with the client, followed by sending an email to the client with exact details of the coaching session. During the first session now, it's important to help the client feel relaxed as possible. Building rapport is of primary importance. And the coach must use active listening and Socratic interview techniques to build a relationship, taking many notes as possible during the first session to build an accurate profile of the client's needs. So remember, you're trying to understand your client. It's the first time, after this first consultation, it's the second time you've ever met them. So you really need to go into depth and get as much as you can from them, building a profile in your head of someone. Now, I mentioned the phrase Socratic interview. This is a motivational interview. There's a type of interview technique that uses open-ended questions to ascertain a client's needs. It means that the client can openly talk freely without judgment or needing to talk intellectually. To help build this relaxed environment, you need small touches such as a glass of water, tissue, and keeping the seating in the same positions and same height and parallel, which is quite important. The client needs to feel equal, because remember, coaching is about partnership. Proximity is important as well, so being able to lean in close, show empathy, and offer a hand if the client is quite distressed. Also can help by providing a client pen and a notepad to take notes or write down any homework tasks, which is handy. So that's just the general setting, but we'll go into time management. So it's very important that you don't ever keep a client waiting. You need to be respectful to their time, by sticking the allocated time slot booked. Always leave times between sessions for unexpected scenarios. I think it's good practice to always have 15 minutes, but I also recommend half an hour break, so to give you a chance to let go of the previous session, maybe grab a cup of tea, go for a brief walk and get some fresh air. Between each sessions, it's very important that you finish the sessions by being clear as possible. Avoid ambiguity or confusion with the client. For example, make sure it's clear what appointment, when's the next appointment, what's required for the client to do when they're away. In terms of time management as well, it might be I know some coaches prefer to do their own administrative tasks for themselves, but if it's not something that you're great at, then I personally would recommend hiring a secretary, especially if you're getting busy, or a virtual assistant. Now we're going to keeping records. So we've done with time management. Now, keeping records. Good record keeping is quite important for a good coaching relationship. Client records are a good way to monitor progress, and it also helps you paint a picture of the client. In the initial consultation sessions, you're taking notes, but you want to see how these notes progress, constantly reviewing them. And coaching logs are quite important because they help both the client and the coach monitor both progresses. Coaching logs are quite a brief description or summary of what was discussed in the sessions and the sections for any tasks that need to be completed. We're going now go into supervision and boundaries. This supervision is very important in coaching, because a supervisor, and these are what I call supervisors for coaches, not the coachee. If you're a life coach, you should always get a supervisor, because it can help you with a trickier client session, and it might make you think more creatively when you get a second opinion. Supervisors also ensure that there's no issues with boundaries or ethics. and there's a space where coaches themselves can talk about any emotional issues. It's an important part of coaching, and many organisations will have this. And if you're a private coach, then I'd advise that you get a supervisor, because it helps set a boundary for the coaching partnership, which we'll come on to now. Boundaries are very important between the coach and the coachee. Coaches should not meet with a client outside of the coaching hours or make unexpected or unnecessary phone calls. They should have ideally a separate contact for working hours and another contact for private hours. A coach should never look for a relationship or friend or endeavour to build a friendship with a client. Coaching is strictly a professional relationship. Finally, feedback in coaching. So feedback is very important when it comes to coaching. Seeking regular professional feedback from supervisors, as well as feedback on the client, how the client feels, is very important. You can seek but remember to seek feedback with confidence. So the supervisor is quite a easy place to go to seek confidence. With confidence to seek feedback. But in terms of client, how would you ask the client for feedback in an indirect way? It could quite undermine your own credibility. However, the best way to go about it would be to question, how do you feel things are going here? Or is this method of coaching helping you achieve your goals? Sometimes the client might feel that something's not right, and therefore you can take that as feedback and view it as you need to change something, or maybe perhaps coaching isn't working for them at all. Finally, we're going to talk about concluding. This is a very short video, and we're going to talk about how to conclude the coaching session. Now, they say every good thing comes to an end. Both the coach and the client must decide when the final session will take place. And in this final session, as a coach, you should summarise the client's achievement and try to gather the client's feeling. Usually, a summary of the client's progress is needed, and a space is set aside for the client to chat and discuss how they feel with what they achieved and to identify any future goals. Finally, you should just bid your farewell to the client, but always let the client know that they can return to work on the current goal or any other future problems they might have in future. And that's it for me for this series of life coaching. I hope you enjoy the videos. Please like, please subscribe, and please comment.